Shut up and sit down.
Hi, I'm Jason Mordecai, your virtual security advisor. Have you ever had a moment where you were driving somewhere and you suddenly looked up and you thought, how did I get here? Or you were distracted, you looked down at the car radio, you were thinking about something, and suddenly you look up and there's a truck in front of you and bang. Or perhaps you stopped at a traffic light and suddenly somebody appeared there knocking on your window. You didn't even see the guy coming. It all comes down to the principle of attention, which is what we're going to talk about today. It's an important part and component of situational awareness. And simply it works like this. Action is faster than reaction. If the longer it takes for you to react, the more vulnerable you are. So in a criminal attack, the criminal is usually acting and you're reacting, and therefore he's always got the jump on you. He's acting, and you've now got to perceive what's happened, interpret it in some kind of way, and come up with an appropriate response. And this is because the human mind, can dwell in 4 different places. And this is simply for the purposes of situational awareness. I can think of the past. It could be something that happened 5 seconds ago, 10 seconds ago, 2 hours ago, 20 years ago. The mind has the capacity to think about what happened before this time. Or likewise in the future, where I could be thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to have for dinner? Where am I going to be? Where am I going on holiday? How am I going to afford this? Future planning. Or perhaps my mind simply goes into the realms of the imagination, into something that's not real, into other places. As a bored math student, my mind wandered into this place often. And then there's the place of the present. And for purposes of surviving dangerous situations, the present or the now is the most important time, because it's the only time that's going to enable us to perceive what's happening in our environment and act now, rather than snap out of where we were, the past, the future, the imagination, perceive and then react. You lose huge amounts of time when your mind is not in the present and you're faced with danger. So how do we actually get this going into our day-to-day lives? I thought what we'd do is we'd go back to my garden, like we did with the last session, and look at one of the creatures that lives here and see what does living in the present actually look like. This is Stitch, the Australian cattle dog. He's going to show us what real attention in the present looks like. At the moment he's in moderate resting mode, which is possibly the calmest a cattle dog can be. But the moment I introduce something interesting to his environment, Stitch is absolutely focused on the present now. The question is it possible for you as a human being to have this level of focus? So, have you got Stitch-like powers of attention? Are there times when you can absolutely focus on the now in an unwavering, dedicated way? Or are you easily distracted? Does your mind waver to what has happened, what will happen, what's on your phone? Cell phones have got a galaxy of distractions. Criminals, on the other hand, understand the principle of attention in great detail. They know they need to focus on the present. Let's imagine that you've been contracted by a carjacking syndicate to steal a particular car. So you take a walk to a parking lot which you know is quiet, and you find a good hidey hole. What are the consequences of your actions? Yes, you could be arrested, you could be injured, you could even be killed doing what you're doing. You're focused on the now. And as this guy walks towards his car with his earphones in his ears, and he's glued to his cell phone, fumbling for his keys, you know this is your man. He is not focused on what is happening around you. He doesn't even hear your footsteps as you walk towards him. You grab him, you throw him to the floor, he sees the gun, his eyes bulge, you grab his keys, and soon you're away with his vehicle. When he meets his first responder, he's going to say, this guy came out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. Truth is, there are certain times of your day when you absolutely need to be focusing on the now. And I know that's difficult, but here's a quick guideline. There are times when you are arriving in an environment. There are times when you are leaving environments. And there's times when you spot anomalies, strange changes or unusual events within that environment. But let's go into this a little bit more detail. Let's try and understand how can we bring the principle of attention into your life. To do that, we're going to check out a little bit about the human brain. Right, now pay attention 007. I'm going to introduce you to the neurological hardware that is responsible for you paying attention. So let's have a look right over here. Welcome back. So let's take a quick tour around the human brain. And I must just stress that although I have extensive experience in banging my head, I'm certainly not a neurologist. But it goes something like this. We've got the cortex, which is the thinking part of the brain. We've got the limbic region, our emotional part of the brain. Then we've got a part of the brain, the reptilian part, which is responsible for survival. Just at the base of our limbic region, we've got something called the amygdala, which for people involved in survival and self-defense, very, very important because it's what people have termed as the brain's emotional panic button. And then over here, we've got the reticular activating system. And this is really the brain's gatekeeper of information. And to illustrate this, I just want you to take notice of a few things. So if you're sitting, can you feel the sensation between your butt and the chair? Or can you feel the sensation of your shirt on your skin at this time? Or perhaps if you've got earphones on, how does it feel? What's the pressure like on your ears? Or what sounds are happening immediately in the environment around you now? This is information that you were absorbing, but it was not being processed into your consciousness until I drew attention to it. And the reason for that is it's not strictly relevant. So what is relevant is the things that you're interested and focused in. And the reticular activating system, its job is to bring those relevant things into the core of your consciousness. So, for example, if you go out for coffee with a buddy of yours who's a gun guy, and he says, oh, look at that guy, he's packing, and you can see it from the way his shirt lies. Or you go out and you work with a cop on the road, and he says, we need to pull that car over. There's something suspicious about it. Or maybe it's you've got a hot date coming up, and you go out and you see this amazing shirt in your local retailer. That's if it's open during COVID. And you buy yourself that shirt, and you go out on your hot date, although it might be a Zoom date the way the world is now, and you notice that every other guy is wearing your shirt. It's not that shirt was brand new and suddenly everybody bought it. It's more like it was never in your field of consciousness until the reticular activating system brought it into your consciousness. Or from years of experience, the policeman has been able to identify the difference between a suspicious car and a car that's non-suspicious. Or the gun guy has learned that these are the only places you could carry a gun, and this is what a shirt looks like when a shirt covers a firearm. This is all the job of the reticular activating system. Now, it's not possible to be conscious of dangerous signs all the time, but what we'd like to do is build a little compendium of knowledge for our RAS. And what we want to say is, I want to live a healthy, non-paranoid, comfortable life. But when something is a trigger, when something comes into my consciousness that is important, something that's happened in my environment that could be an indicator of current or imminent danger, I need you to bring it into my consciousness so I can respond rather sooner or later. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of a risk assessment of your life, get a pen and a paper, and we're going to try and exercise to educate our reticular activating system. and we'll see where that takes us from there. Right. Got your pen and paper ready? Okay, let's think about this. The first thing we said is we need to be coming to the world of attention when we are arriving at a place. So this could be a minute or two before you arrive home. We need to turn our music down in our vehicles, stop shouting at the kids, focus on who's in front of us, focus on what vehicles are behind us. Or perhaps it's arriving in a shopping center or arriving in an office complex. The next time we need to be focusing on the present is when we are leaving an environment. I'm walking out of that shopping center and I survey the parking lot. Or I survey the flight of stairs that I'm about to leave. Or perhaps it's as I'm walking away from the ATM and I've just drawn a sum of cash. Who's around me? And then I want you to do a little risk assessment of your life. When are the specific danger times that focus around your daily habits and routines? It could be on your morning jog when you pass an avenue of trees and somebody could be hiding behind them. It could be a particular route that you take and there's a particular dodgy traffic light where there's a group of guys and they stand around that traffic light and you need to be paying attention during that time. What about specific sounds in your household environment that are telltale signs of danger? You know the sound of your backyard door opening and closing and the day is fine. But if you were to hear that sound, say, 2 in the morning, what would happen then? That's the time for your RAS to switch you on and say, something's wrong. Start by looking at your property. What about sounds inside your house? What about the particular way in which your dog barks? The purpose of the exercise is to bring your attention into the present when it's critical. Once you've done this homework, as we always say, fortune favors the prepared. File it away in your brain and get on with your life. Don't let this bring you into a state of paranoia. Use this to bring you into a state of preparedness, of confidence. I've done something to prepare for my life, and now I'm going to live it to the fullest. The attention principle basically says this: pay attention to the present in the right time and the right place. Hopefully you've done the right homework so that you can do this. If you follow the link over here, you'll be able to watch the last video where I went through the basic other principles of situational awareness. If you liked the video, click over here to subscribe. Drop us a comment. Drop us a line. Have a look at our blogs on securityadvisor.net. I'd like to thank Stitch Wonder Dog here for his amazing stunt work. Couldn't have done it without him. And until next time, fortune favors the prepared. See you again.